Hi, my name is Ms. Demesia Van Sertima and I will be teaching you today on computer storage. Mainly, we will be focusing on the primary storage within the computer system. With that being said, let's dive in. So, in today's lesson, we will basically be looking at what computer storage is, and since we are focusing mostly on the primary storage within this lesson, we will be looking at a brief description on what it is and the types of primary storage, mainly the ROM, read-only memory, and the RAM, random access memory. Before I go ahead though, can anyone tell me how do they think or what happens to our data or files when we turn off the computer system? That is wonderful, Ginny. Great job. And yes, interfailure. Awesome. So since I understand that you basically have somewhat kind of understanding of what they are, can anyone tell me what they think or what is the computer storage? Great job. So the computer storage, what it basically is, it refers to the components that are used or the equipments that are used to store and retrieve data and programs. These include our primary storage, which basically provides a fast and temporary access to our data. Yes, that is correct. So with that being said, once we turn off our computer system, that information will be gone, right? And then we also have the secondary storage, which basically give us a more permanently storage with our data. So let's go a little bit more in depth on what a primary storage is. So the primary storage, as you may know, yes, someone said that it is the main memory of the computer. Great job to you, Osborne. So what it basically refers to, it refers to the internal memory or components that stores data and programs that are currently being used. With that being said, it provides a much faster access to whatever data that is being processed or for processing, right? So with the primary storage, we understand that there are basically two types of primary storage. Like I said previously, it is the RAM, the random access memory, which is basically temporary and volatile. You might wonder what volatile means. So what that means is that our data will be lost once our computer is turned off. On the other hand, we have the read-only memory, which is permanent, and it permanently stores our data. Now, we will be moving on to the types of random access memory. And can you tell me how many types of random access memory are there? We know them to be that is a great job. And yes, you, Shania. Lovely. So yes, it is the dynamic random access memory, and as we know, the static random access memory. You might wonder, Miss, what is this? So I'll tell you what they are. So the static RAM is basically a type of RAM that retains data as long as the power supply does not shut off, right? So once the power supply is shut off, then your information is gone. However, with the SRAM or the static RAM, it is basically much faster and more expensive than what we know as the dynamic RAM. Moving on to the dynamic RAM, this is basically a type of RAM that needs to be refreshed constantly so that it can retain our data. So a key point to note that the dynamic RAM is much slower than the static RAM, but it is more affordable, and it is commonly used in the computer's main memory. Dynamic RAM, that part basically breaks down into two other categories within itself. So within the dynamic RAM, we will see that there are two other parts. There are the synchronous DRAM and the double data rate RAM. I hope that I'm not going too fast for anyone. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes. Okay. So now we're moving on to the read-only memory. But before I go on to the read-only memory, can anybody tell me what is the read-only memory? For short, the ROM. Okay, that's a great answer. So as we know it, the read-only memory is what we might consider to be a non-volatile memory. With that being said, we know that non-volatile meaning it can keep or retain our data even when our computer is turned off, right? So the ROM, it basically stores our permanent data and instructions that cannot be modified or erased. So what it does, it retains these contents and it keeps them even when our computer is turned off. The RAM is a primary use of firmware such as the system BIOS, which helps to start up the computer. Or in most cases, when you turn on your computer, you can see the BIOS screen on most computers. Just an example to state. The ROM, the read-only memory, it was broken down into some smaller categories or smaller types. And as we know, they are the programmable ROM, the erasable programmable ROM, the electrically erasable PROM, and of course, our flash memory. Can anyone tell me what they think is the PROM? That's the programmable ROM. Great job. And what about erasable PROM? For short, EPROM. And the EEPROM? Awesome. And what about the flash memory? Great. So the PROM, right, it stands for the programmable ROM, as you may know by now, right? And what it basically does, after production, it can be programmed once, or after it was manufactured, it can only be programmed once. However, the information on it cannot be changed or removed. On the other hand, for the EPROM, it can be programmed or deleted once, or it can be programmed or deleted with a UV light. Moving on to the EEPROM, that's the electronic or electronically erasable PROM. It basically can be erased or reprogrammed by applying a high voltage of electricity. The EEPROM can be erased by using high voltage, right? So the EEPROM, it basically is capable of deleting and reprogramming the application or the contents that are on the storage there, right, using a very high voltage of electricity. Now moving on to the flash memory. It is basically a contemporary type of the EEPROM that enables quick, ready, or real access that is found in SSDs and USB devices. So with what we would have learned in our class today, that would have brought us to activity 1. And since we had great responses from our students, why not? Let's do an activity. We will be matching the types of storage to their description. We would have went through the RAM, the ROM, the RAM, the SRAM, and the EEPROM. So just to get a bit of understanding of what you would have grasped today, we will be doing this activity, followed by activity 2, and we will go through the answers together. I am now going to share out a few papers. Great. Thank you for your contribution, Janea. Let's go through activity 1. So the question number 1, we're to match the storage types with their description. So we have the RAM. We understand, based on our lesson, we would have understand that RAM is temporary memory. So this is correct. And followed with ROM, we understand that the ROM stores our data permanently. For the DRAM, this is the main computer, or this is the main memory, and the SRAM is the faster than the dynamic RAM. On the other hand, for the EEPROM, this one is the rewritable read-only memory. So if you would have gotten all correct, please give yourself a round of applause. So here we have our second activity, which is followed with some questions. We choose our answer for number 1, and we have 2 essay type questions, but they're relatively easy. Once you would have been paying attention on what was learned during our class, it should be a walkthrough. Can I have a volunteer? Here. Okay, since we're all finished with the activity number 2, let's go through the answers together. So the question states, which memory is temporary? Is it RAM or ROM? Yes. For those of you who have RAM, please indicate by raising your hand. And what about ROM? No one? Okay, that's great job. So yes, the answer is RAM, the random access memory, as explained during our class, and on activity 1, we would have understand that RAM is our temporary memory. And which type of RAM is faster? Yes, that is correct, the synchronous RAM. And could you name one type of ROM? Yes, we have the programmable read-only memory. Can you give me another one? And what does that stand for? Erasable programmable read-only memory. Great job. And what about this one? Is this one too? Yeah, lovely. I understand that you would have grasped what would have been taught today. Participation, it was great.